Woo, 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 woo. Okay, here we are. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, maybe like 30 seconds early. And it is stream time, everyone. It is stream time. It is live stream time. I hope everyone's doing well. Let me just make sure the live stream has started. And there it is. It has started. Cool. And the live chat is going because everybody sees that the live stream is going. And hey, it's a little dark. Please do forgive me for a couple of things. One, please do forgive the sunglasses, which I know I had them on last time, but I'm actually wearing them because I kind of have a splitting headache right now. I have a splitting headache. We are going to go a full 90 minutes on this stream, though, so forgive me for that. Also forgive me for having not listened through all of the recommendations that I was not familiar with from the last live stream yet. I have not finished all of them. I was listening to a great deal of them. Just recently, I kind of got bogged down on Halloween with some family stuff. Not, bad stuff. It was just actually spending Halloween with my family. I wasn't like doing anything horrible or, nobody went to the hospital or anything. So, I would say Siamese dream to answer that question. So yeah, I was spending time with my family on Halloween, so I wasn't able to sort of catch up with all the super chats that I wasn't familiar with last time. Although I was listening to one thing that I want to give a shout out to. Somebody recommended this fantastic little power metal band from Mexico named Agora, and their music, I mean, it's nothing new as far as power metal goes, but it's pretty fun, and I'm pretty interested to try out this recommendation somebody made of this Argentinian artist, Luis Alberto Spinetta, who's fronted bands and created music in a myriad of different genres, from pop and art rock to prog rock, so I'm pretty excited to try some of his stuff out. But outside of that, I want to mention that this is going to run like your usual live stream where I just take super chats and I answer questions. I'm going to try to get to as many super chats and questions as possible, despite my headache. The one thing about this particular live stream, though, is that this is a charity stream. So all of the super chat money that you guys send in, which I hope you send in generously because this is a charity stream, all the super chat money that you guys send in is going to be going to RAINN. That is RAINN. You can find them at rainn.org. They are, they are the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization, and they also have a hotline, and they help female victims and children victims and male victims, all victims of sexual violence. And they have a pretty nice split here, saying that 93 cents of every $1 that is donated to their organization goes toward helping survivors, preventing sexual violence. And basically, I, like many of you, have essentially been kind of emotionally rocked by a lot of these allegations of sexual violence that have been sort of spreading throughout and have been, coming out throughout the music industry right now. And I feel like this is possibly the best way to sort of help, or sort of make some kind of statement or, on my opinion on this issue, or just take some kind of stand or provide some kind of relief or something. I feel like it's more, I guess, productive than just making some kind of video about it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I would, rather do and rather focus on. Do a charity stream, raise some money, and as soon as YouTube tells me in a couple days, once AdSense has rolled over how much money was made in this stream, donate that money directly to RAINN, and hopefully help some people who are suffering from this sort of horror, rather than just kind of having a discussion about it up on YouTube. All right, guys, let's get into some of these super chats. Let's answer some questions. Let's get some donations. Let's do some good. What are some great albums for driving late at night? Good question. I guess it would kind of depend on what kind of drive you're talking about. Maybe a late night urban drive. Maybe like some Interpol, like turn out the bright lights, or that sort of thing. Yeah, that, or some Joy Division. Or if you're getting a little folky, maybe some Microphones or some Mount Erie or something. If you're like doing a drive in like the middle of the night in like the woods. Or maybe the Twin Peaks soundtrack. I guess. But if you're looking for a party, I don't know, maybe like some nice techno or something, you know, some Daft Punk. Those are my suggestions. Or like, you know, some nice electro house, you know, like some Justice, or you know, one of these artists on Bandcamp that are doing kind of like this dark sci-fi electro house shit that's kind of cool. Hopefully those suggestions work out. Here we go. Have I listened to Rex Orange County? A little bit. I'm not like crazy about his stuff, but I love what he's done with Frank Ocean. You know, I think he's good. I think he's a talented guy. But I think now that he has all eyes on him, the next full-length record he comes out with is going to be not huge, but everybody's going to be looking at it, you know, and I hope that he is kind of prepared for that and has something big planned for that record. Is a top 10 most disappointing albums of 2017 considerable? A lot of records seem to have let you down this year. Possibly. I am definitely going to do my top 10, you know, or top whatever worst albums of 2017. I was definitely thinking about doing a video where I did like the top 10 or maybe 15 most underappreciated or underrated albums of the year, sort of pointing out the records that I loved that I think have kind of gone overlooked by a lot of other people and publications. Let's see. Oh, this guy's name is Bill Cosby. That's really tasteful for this particular charity stream. Hopefully this is atonement for my edgy sense of humor. Just wanted to say love you, Melon, and stay strong. Thanks for inspiring me to be vegan. Question, when will you do a content cop on Paul Joseph Watson? You know, I was thinking about doing a video about Paul Joseph Watson when he did the whole Eminem thing, but I had already kind of done a video about the Eminem freestyle on my Fantano channel, and then Sean C., shout out to Sean C., over on YouTube, already did such a good video about Paul Joseph Watson. Plus, I'm kind of avoiding Paul Joseph Watson right now because I think the dude's a pussy. Like, I literally tore that video apart that he did, and he said he was going to make a response, and he never did, and then he came up with this bullshit like, oh, I get more subscribers every day than you, blah, 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 that, therefore, I don't need to respond. Like, he's just a baby. And it's funny that he, like, rails against Eminem and other people for being liberals and being opinionated and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, like, his favorite artist on the planet is one of the most liberal and opinionated people ever to walk the earth. I'm talking about Morrissey. The dude loves the Smiths. So for him to hate on all these liberal opinionated stars and musicians and artists and so on and so forth, meanwhile, the dude has a gigantic Morrissey boner, is so stupid, but whatever. The dude's a hypocrite. The dude's silly. And maybe if he says something dumb in the future again, if I have time and I'm in it for a laugh, I might, you know, do something. But, you know, it's I'm pretty much ignoring Paul Joseph Watson at this point. Rank your 3 10 out of 10 albums worst to best. I think it might be The Money Store, T-Pab, To Be Kind, with The Money Store being the best. What is the music scene like in your town? I can't really speak right now. Not that there isn't a music scene in my town. There definitely is. However, I'm not as involved in it as I used to be when I was younger. But when I was young, there were a lot of punk bands, there were a lot of metalcore bands, and there were a lot of ska bands. Like, there were so many ska bands. There was this website called ctska.com, and you could see, like, ska shows listed, like, every other weekend, and it was, like, fucking awesome. And there were, like, some good New England ska and punk and nu metal and sort of metalcore bands. Hatebreed came from my home state, so there were a lot of bands in the area that sounded a lot like Hatebreed, wanted to be the next Hatebreed, and bands like Converge came through all the time, you know, because the hardcore scene was big up here. So, you know, Connecticut has a lot of good roots in sort of underground rock music. Let's see. Everyone in the stream is now breathing manually and has an itch somewhere on their body. That is true. I do have an itch on my hip. And I'm already kind of consciously, you know, breathing manually because I'm talking and I have to kind of like, you know, think about where my breaths are going to be since I'm always talking. So thank you very much for reminding everyone that they're breathing manually and itchy. Appreciate it. Let's move on from there. Hey, Melon, are you ever going to do a Pink Floyd best to worst? Ugh. Not that I'm disgusted by that, but discography so huge. Like, the next worst to best that I do, I want to do an artist with like 5 or 6 albums, because next I'm going to do the Bjork one. And some people were complaining about how the Metallica one happened first. Look, I've already said publicly that the Metallica one was going to happen first. The reason being that Bjork has a new record on the way, and I wanted to include that album in the list. So having said that, Once this new record comes out, and I am going to start, doing my preliminary listening for the list now, so that by the time the album comes out, I'll be close to, or at least on my way to, finishing that list. The album is going to be dropping in November. So I am going to be doing my preliminary listening now, and then the Bjork one will come out. But after that, I kind of want to do an artist with like maybe, 4, 5, 6 albums and just like take it a little easy on myself with the next one. Like a Pink Floyd or a Beatles, or, people have like 11, 12, 13. It's just out of the question for right now. I just want to, have the next one be a little easy, a little straightforward. Jesus, give myself a bit of a break. Or do another one where I'm more intimately familiar with the artist going into it, like MF Doom or something. So I don't have to do a whole lot of like refresher listening. So thank you very much for the super chat and the question. Holy cow, munchers! Hey, Need Drop Tano, have you heard Flatworms? I have not. They're a new band who signed to John Dwyer's label. Oh, that sounds interesting. Anybody on Castleface piques my interest, I would say. And they released their self-titled LP less than a month ago. Okay, I'll give them a shot. Castleface is good. Let's see. Oh, nice. Austin was just telling me that the Amazon Associates link can now be expanded to the EU and Japan, which is really cool and is totally unrelated to this stream. But anyway, let me put my phone on airplane mode so I'm not getting interrupted or anything, because I don't want to get distracted while talking with you guys. All right, let's move on from there. Just wondering, what are your opinions on the late and great Nujabes? Also, Gore deserved more than a 4. That's right, I'm still butthurt over that. Oh, man. You're still butthurt over that? I'm sorry about that. Can I give you kissy? Those kisses went out straight to you. Those kisses are for you. They're for no one else. I know the rest of you saw them and heard them, but those kisses were just for you. So I apologize. What do I think of him? I think his music is jazzy, it's smooth, it's beautiful, it's very pretty, definitely, I would say, influential. Is it as exciting or as, I guess, groovy as I like my hip-hop instrumentals to be? Not entirely, but I do respect the dude's distinct sound. And I think a lot of what he did was definitely a predecessor for, a lot of this chill, lo-fi hip-hop that you find all over YouTube right now. Like, a lot of that stuff is just chilled out, spacey, almost ambient kind of, beat music. And I think that this is, Nujabes was definitely a precursor for that sort of thing, as well as a lot of other producers who were his contemporaries. But I guess I just wanted to talk about how weird it is that lo-fi hip-hop has sort of found this weird home for itself on YouTube. And in a way, it seems almost like completely separate from all of the really lo-fi, like legitimately lo-fi and alternative hip hop that came out in the underground in the 2000s. Like, it seems like that's not necessarily the influence point. And it's something else entirely, but whatever. Hey, are you planning on reviewing the new Without Warning mixtape? Actually, I just finished my review for that, writing it anyway, and after this I'm going to have to go shoot it. So I just finished writing that, and I will be reviewing it. So thanks for asking. What music did your parents listen to that affected your music taste? Last stream, a Quebec dude said callous, and you asked if it was a bad word. Yes, make your Franco ancestors proud. What music did my parents listen to? I can't say that the music my parents listened to affected my taste in music. I think my parents' approach to music that affected my taste the most was that they just kind of let me listen to whatever I liked. I remember my mother would talk about her growing up as a kid and listening to music and recalling pretty often that her parents hated her music and she didn't want me to feel the same way, like my music was terrible, or that, she would take my music away from me or say my music was bad, or that I wasn't able to listen to a certain kind of music. She didn't really want that experience for me. So as a result, I didn't grow up with people, and even my father, who's honestly not really the biggest music fan. He doesn't hate music, but he's not very knowledgeable or, passionate about the topic. My parents didn't really tell me what was good and what was bad. So whatever I liked, whatever was on the radio, whatever was on MTV, whatever my friends were listening to, whether that had been Green Day or Coolio or Tupac or TLC or Boyz II Men or The Offspring or 311 or Red Hot Chili Peppers or Bush or Pearl Jam or Nirvana or what other tapes did I have? Rage Against the Machine. That was one of my favorite tapes when I was a kid. You know, no matter what I was listening to, it was just all good music that I enjoyed. It was just all popular music that was on the radio that I had cassettes of, and whatever genre it was, I just liked it. I just enjoyed it. It wasn't until like, you know, high school that I had rocker friends and sort of nu metal friends that I became like, you know, pickier and more pretentious. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, actually, you know, I should stop being a shitty person and probably listen to everything again. I just think my parents' open-mindedness to whatever I wanted to listen to gave me kind of free range to just kind of listen to everything and anything without any kind of bias or hatred toward that style or sound going into it. And, you know, I know my mother as a kid listened to the Beatles and disco and folk music and funk music. So, you know, I know she listened to a varied degree of popular music styles, as did I when I was a kid. And I think that kind of informed me to be open-minded when listening to a lot of different things as I grew up. Hello, Yothany Latengo. Happy post-October to you. Would Yo La Tengo Worst to Best interest you? Maybe, but again, huge discography, and it would take so long. Hello, Berberman, you remember me? Maybe? 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 Brand New only have 5 albums, so that would be a nice and easy worst to best. Ooh, that's a good point. That's a good point. And I did just recently review one of their records, so that's a good point. What's a better sea creature, manatee or spider crab? I'm going manatee, and I think the reason I'm going manatee is, number one, manatees are cuter, and two, I would say I have a mammalian bias, so I'm biased against the spider crab, as I imagine it's sort of categorized as a crustacean. Fuck crustaceans. That's all I have to say about crustaceans. Now listen, guys, I know that is a really controversial topic that may or may not, you know, who knows, 5 years down the line that me saying that may turn up in an article somewhere, you know, that's really controversial and trying to, you know, sink me or whatever. I joke, I kid, but, you know, still it could potentially happen. But, you know, here I am trying to say that no matter what apologies I say into the future saying, hey guys, I'm sorry about hating on crustaceans. I didn't mean to come out as anti-crustacean. Don't listen to my apologies. I'm just apologizing to keep myself out of trouble. I'm a big, fat, ugly liar. Whatever hatred I get into the future for hating on crustaceans, I wholly deserve it. So just put me on a cross and punish me and, you know, shame me in the public square, whatever you feel like you need to do, as I sort of came out on this very day, November 2nd, 2017, as being anti-crustacean and pro-manatee and pro-mammal. So there you go. Manatees rule. Massive Attack, best to worst. That would be convenient, you know, since there's not a lot of Massive Attack records, or at least not a lot of Massive Attack records that come to mind. Oh God, I crack myself up, and I don't even know why. But let me look just to remind myself. Yeah, a Massive Attack. A Massive Attack. Worst to best wouldn't be too bad. But that wouldn't be too bad. And Mezzanine is a great record. It's a beautiful record. Essential electronic music, I would say. Moving on from there. And thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the donation. And again, this is a charity stream. Any and all super chat donations are going toward the organization RAINN, the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization. They are a hotline. They are an institution that helps victims of, you know, all genders, all ages. And I figured in the wake of all of these sexual assault allegations that have kind of rocked the music industry, this would be one of the best ways to help out and sort of give back and sort of affect change and be the change you want to see. Not only that, but just all of us kind of taking personal account for ourselves and just trying to be better at respecting and understanding one another, and just ourselves being better people. Because I feel like one of the best ways to sort of fight assault is not to engage in it ourselves and support people who are sort of in close proximity to us who do suffer through such things. Fantissimo. Thank you for the commitment you make to put up so much great content. Got 2 artist recos for you. If you've heard him, please tell me. Prep, 1 Prep, and 2 Joey Dosick. Also, favorite MJ deep cut. Oh, hold on a second. Let me save that. I'm trying to think. Favorite MJ deep cut. It's probably a song off of Off the Wall. Honestly, I'm trying to think of which one it is, but it's probably an Off the Wall cut. Honestly, I feel like that one has the best deep cuts. And like, what on Thriller really is a deep cut? You know what I mean? Like, pretty much every song on Thriller is a big hit. Although I guess probably my favorite minor hit on Thriller is probably PYT. Although, again, how minor of a hit is that? Pretty much every song on that record is a hit. But no, I'd probably have to say it would have to be a song off the wall. Hey, Anthony, I've somewhat avoided the 80s for music. What? For real? You've completely avoided the 80s? Like, the 80s are amazing. What are some albums you would recommend to those just getting into post-punk or new wave? You should probably listen to some Human League. You should listen to New Order. You should listen to Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. You should listen to some Oingo Boingo. You should listen to some Devo. You should listen to like some Tom Petty. You should listen to a freaking who else should you listen to? There are probably so many, and I mean there are so many. Well, I'm thinking of more new wave stuff. As far as post-punk stuff, listen to some Bauhaus. You know, listen to Bauhaus. They're excellent. Who else am I thinking of in terms of post-punk in the 80s that you should listen to? You know, try to get into some of the gothic side of post-punk in the 80s. But those bands should do you pretty good so far. But yes, definitely New Order. Jesus, I love you. Don't stop depriving yourself. Oh, come on. What the heck? I'm stuck over here. Hey, Fandanko, thanks for doing the stream. Appreciate you. Any opinion on John Martin or Jeff Buckley? Do you have a favorite singer-songwriter or solo artist? Jeff Buckley, great vocals. I've been meaning to sort of catch up with Grace again now that I'm not in college anymore, to sort of see if it does anything more for me than it has in the past. John Martin, though, I'm not really familiar with his music, so I can't really comment, but thank you very much for the generous donation. It will go toward a good cause. Let's see. What would you like to hear from Tyler, the Creator's next album? Favorite song from Flower Boy? Love what you're doing. Thanks. Find some time to do something. You know, that or Who Dat Boy? Who Him Is? Those are probably my favorite cuts off of that record. And I don't know what I would like to hear from his next record. I don't know. Like, there were so many good things on his latest record. His rapping was better. The instrumentals were better. The singing was better. The songwriting was better. I guess I would like to hear Tyler do a little bit more of a record that has a stronger or more seamless flow. I do think there was a point on Flower Boy where things fell apart a little bit. You know, and the flow got a little shoddy toward the end, but outside of that, I think there was a lot of great stuff on Flower Boy. If he were to get maybe a little bit more conceptual and just have a better, maybe stronger storyline or sort of overarching narrative or melodic theme sort of tying the entire record together, I would love to hear that. Have you ever listened to any of Tally Hall's albums? Yes, I have, but I've never really cared for them, honestly, but maybe it's time to sort of try them again to sort of see if they really do anything for me. I mean, for a while they were kind of hype, and it was just like a boat that I never really got on. You know what I mean? And I don't really know what else to say about it beyond that. Although I have not heard any of Joel Howley's post Tally Hall stuff. Hawaii Part 2. I don't know. I'll screen grab that. I'll save it, and I'll save it and remind myself to try it out later, sort of see if it, you know, piques my interest. Have I heard of Drab Majesty? Somebody in the last live stream suggested them, and I have not tried them yet. Also, it's some really good new wave. Also, a Beastie Boys worst to best would be dope. A Beastie Boys worst to best is a lot. However, it would be somewhat easy because I am very familiar with their entire discography, so it would be kind of easy sort of pulling all that together, but it would still be a while to sort of like actually do all of it. What did you think of the new Brian Eno, Kevin Shields single? Good question. Also, seconding a recommendation for Mike and his recent album, May God Bless Your Hustle. If you like Milo Earl and Rat King. Ooh, that's a good suggestion. Let's check that out. But the new Brian Eno, Kevin Shields single, which I imagine you're talking about the Adult Swim single that they just dropped, I was just not as into it as I would have liked to have been. And I think it's partially because like the production and mixing was really weird. Like, I don't know if it was just the sound of the track on the Adult Swim site or something, but there was like something really kind of like compressed and overblown and distorted about it. And it didn't sound like super intentional. It just sounded like really hideous and just like not very nice at all. And, I really don't know what to say about it beyond that. Like, I was really kind of just disappointed in the sound of the track, and Brian Eno's tracks usually have a pretty impeccable, or at least an intriguing sound to them, even if compositionally they're not really that amazing. So I really don't know. I was kind of let down by the cut, and I feel almost like I'm kind of missing out on something that everybody else sort of seemed to get that I didn't, to be honest. How about a Tool worst to best? When/if that new album drops, that could potentially happen. Although right now, I guess I'm looking forward to the new Perfect Circle album, bro. That'd be 6 albums. Loved the Fader video, by the way. You really verbally nailed it. And okay, in self-defense, of course. Yeah, that's very nice. Thank you. Yes, hopefully I still am currently, just trying to work on clearing my name with that. So hopefully that sort of turns out. Thank you for the support on that, guys. I know I haven't been talking about it a lot, and that's because, this I don't, want to sort of blab about it and sort of keep bringing it up and that sort of thing. But I do appreciate all the support that you guys have given me through, through all that. Been obsessed with the new Igloo Ghost album, and that's because it's really good. It's a really good album, and I freaking recommend the hell out of it, and I am going to feature it in the next Great Albums video, which is going to come out soon. Please do not miss that, guys. Got any recs? I mean, based on that, you should probably listen to a bunch of records in the Brain Feeder Records discography, honestly. Like, it's very much on that same beat music plane, though not nearly as overwhelming and insane. But pretty much Brain Feeder, anything related to Brain Feeder, like Flying Lotus and all that stuff, that's really what you need to be listening to if you're really into the Igloo Ghost. But I mean, if you're looking for somebody who is as frantic as he is, like, you probably need to be listening to some drum and bass or drill and bass from the 90s or something like that if you want something that's that overpowering and immense and intense, like some Aphex Twin or some Square Pusher or something like that. Or Venetian Snares. Hey Melon, what's your favorite Redman album? Also, what are your general thoughts on him as an MC? Also, will you ever review a Bruce Springsteen album for Classics Week? If you can't tell by now, I'm from Jersey. Yeah, I mean, everybody who likes Bruce Springsteen is from Jersey. Doy. Favorite Redman album? I mean, he doesn't have that many albums from what I recall, or at least that many classics under his belt. I would have to say probably like Muddy Waters or something, or nah, I mean, there is a Dark Side. I mean, those are the only ones from his early stuff that I can kind of recall as of right now. But outside of that, like, I'm not that familiar with his discography, like his post-90s stuff. Like, I'm not like, very well versed in, honestly. I haven't listened to any Redman, or I haven't listened to any of his music that he's put out since the 90s, so I have to be kind of honest here and say that, I'm not like a Redman sort of expert, but a Bruce Springsteen for Classics Week is totally feasible. What do you think of Tom Waits' Bone Machine? Oh, that's one of his best records. Or really all of his output from the 90s and 2000s. Bone Machine is my favorite, though. Bone Machine is probably his best 90s record, to be honest. Like, Bone Machine is an excellent album. I love the heaviness of that record. I love the noisiness of that record. His 2000s output is really good. Some of it is kind of underrated, like Real Gone, I think. But, or Blood Money, I think, is even better. But Bone Machine, I think, is his best 90s record. It's the sound of that record is so dark. It's so incredible. It's so dank. And but yet, there are also like playful, silly, soulful moments on there too, like freaking I Don't Want to Grow Up and that sort of thing. So I love that record. That's a really good album. I think I saw like Frank Black say a quote about that album, how when he hears that album, it makes him want to record music. And I think that's sort of the effect Tom Waits has on a lot of people. Like, his albums sound really fun to record. Hey, Anthony, how are you? I'm good. Thank you for asking. Did you listen to El Cilio by Dreg? Did I like it? Did you suggest that during the last one? Because if you did, I did not listen to it yet. So I apologize for that. I have not gotten through all the super chats yet. because I did get kind of bogged down hanging out with family on Halloween. Hi, will you ever make some more meme videos in the future? I miss them. And have you listened to Cosmo Pike or Yellow Days? I have not. I recommend Ben Howard. Oh boy. Oh boy. Very ambient dark folk on his second album. I'll take that recommendation and put it in my pocket. Although meme videos, as of right now, I don't have any plans to do any more meme videos. Somebody suggested to turn That Is the Plan into a vegan cooking channel, which I'm kind of tempted to do. However, I would like to visit sort of the jokey, shitposty meme format at some point in the future. I would just like to find a better platform to do it on where I don't feel like I'm constantly worrying about videos getting demonetized. And what's ridiculous is, today, even some of the totally vanilla and just, talky content that I do on the Fantano channel is like gotten some limited monetization sort of notifications here and there. Thankfully, we've been able to repeal them, but sometimes like the views on those videos come so fast and they take so long to actually repeal the demonetization or the limited ads that you get most of the views, and by the time they repeal it, like you've made no money on the freaking video. So, YouTube is not really in the best way right now when it comes to actually allowing creators to make money off of their content. And, I'm not one of these creators that, while I do get a lot of views every month overall, especially on my main channel, because I've put out so many videos over the years, it is kind of essential that the newest videos that I am putting out are getting as many views on the front end, or as much money off of the views that I am getting on the front end, because I'm not getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 million views per video. I'm getting a sort of medium-sized amount of views on a bunch of videos that I put out over the course of a week or over the course of a few weeks that build up views collectively over time. So it's kind of hard for me to be putting out a bunch of new videos, and for them to not be monetized ASAP. But anyway, you guys didn't come here to hear about all that crap. Sorry for the double dip. Oh, you can double dip all you want. It's a charity stream, so all the more that you give, the more RAINN gets. So sorry for the double dip, but I remembered someone recommended Kinoko Teikoku on the last Q&A. I will second that recommendation. Their album Eureka is fantastic despite the language barrier. I probably saved it, although I'll double save this one to sort of just make sure. I love the recommendations you guys make. And I'd like to, at some point in the future, be able to stream on a platform where you guys can make suggestions and we could just be like, okay, I'm going to listen to it right fucking now. And I used to be able to do that stuff on Blog TV, but now that's changed, and all these new streaming sites have limitations on sort of streaming music that's copyrighted. Review the new Horrors album, V. You'll like it. I was planning on reviewing it, and I was giving it a bunch of listens, but I found a lot of tracks on it to be drab, but maybe it's a bit of a slow burner. Maybe it's kind of a grower. I don't know. I'll try to find some time in the near future, and I know it's still on my to-listen list, my to-revisit list, and hopefully I get a chance before the end of the year to do that. But I do kind of like the alternative dance direction that some of the preliminary tracks were going in, so I don't know. Maybe it'll actually do something for me when I come back to it in a week or so. Thoughts on the new Pig Destroyer next year? Oh shit, is there a new Pig Destroyer next year? I fucking hope so. I just bought Terrifier on vinyl, and such a good fucking album. Such an amazing grindcore album. And also thoughts on the current state of extreme metal. I don't know, man. I feel like it's not as shocking as it used to be, but I still feel like the people who are involved with it now are still very talented and are still very passionate, because you're not going to be in that style of music unless you really want to fucking be there. Nobody's in grindcore for the money. And I was just listening to this band the other day from Portland, Oregon. I put them up on Twitter, and I would like to make some time to review their record. The band's name is Blood Freak, and it's a really great fusion of grindcore, death, black metal, every extreme shade that you can think of. And it's so to the point. It's so fucking savage and brutal, and it's really hard hitting. It's really nasty. It's really disgusting. I feel like there's some good stuff out there. There's still creativity out there. It's just not as packed and as active as it used to be, as far as the scene is. Although it does sort of seem like that's, I guess not in the sense that there is a cohesive single scene to be observed. You know, it sort of seems like there's probably more of this stuff than ever coming out because through the internet you have bands popping up left and right. So I guess the scene is still alive. It's just kind of fractured, and it's mostly happening on the internet now. And you know, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's keeping things alive. And you know, again, there's still good releases out there coming out. You just got to kind of dig for them, which is, you know, cool, because I kind of like that the internet, or I like that, you know, there are genres of music and there are styles of music and there are sounds that are still requiring fans to do a little bit of digging and a little bit of legwork to sort of get into it and get a hold of it. I feel like the internet sort of makes things a little too easy sometimes to get a hold of and access. Good shirt, thank you. Curious, have you been looking at James Kelly's Altar of Plague's recent stuff? I think I heard an album of his a little while ago under the wife name, but I haven't listened to anything since, and that was like shortly after their final album. So if he's put out anything since, I have not tried it out. But I will save this to remind myself to give something more recent of his a listen. Thank you very much for the donation and the question. What do I think is a better musical accomplishment, creating the foundation or taking the blueprint and creating something more ambitious and epic? For example, comparing Illmatic with To Pimp a Butterfly. Also, Julian Baker review when. I was just listening to the new Julian Baker today, and I have to say, I'm not sure. You know, it's one of those records that, like, I'm not entirely sure what to say about it, or the things that I feel like I instinctively want to say about it, everybody who enjoys the album will hate. So I'm not exactly sure right now. You know, I'm not exactly sure right now. And what do I think is a better musical accomplishment? I think creating the blueprint. You know, I think creating the blueprint, period, point blank, period. Because after that, you've essentially become a foundation that everybody else's work is built on, whether they acknowledge it or not. Hey, started watching you about a year ago, opened me up to a lot of music genres, different views on political controversies. Glad I found your channel. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you very much, Rusty Raspberry. Again, your $20 is going to be going to a good cause because this is a charity stream for freaking RAINN.org. Let me see over here. Here we go. There we go. RAINN.org. And that's all I got to tell you guys. Just reminding you guys that it's a charity stream. Hi, Dad. Oh, are you my son? If I didn't know, you know, I apologize for abandoning you after all these years. I don't know. I didn't know I had a son that had internet access and you know, had internet access and $20 to spend on a live stream. Hope you're well. Have you listened to Lady Lamb? If so, what did you think? If not, I recommend the album Ripley Pine, indie folk rock that definitely deserves more recognition. I have, but I just thought the songs were just really winding and slow and didn't really sort of add up to much, in my opinion, and the vocals didn't really strike me as being that distinct. I mean, it certainly seems emotive and it seems sort of cerebral, but it wasn't really speaking to me, to be completely honest. But yeah, Lady Lamb, it's not doing too much for me, but you know, nor is a lot of indie folk these days. I feel like the genre, I wouldn't say it's dead, but I feel like it's kind of in need of a revamp, and it's not really challenging a whole lot these days. It's not really challenging a whole lot. Hey Fantano, no question here. I just wanted to express my gratitude for creating the stream in support of RAINN. It could really help people who may not be aware of the organization because they do truly amazing work. Much love. Thank you, Castles Made of Sand, for the $25 donation. It will be going directly to RAINN. And, you know, as Castles says, you know, don't just think that you know, you're donating here and sort of just kind of giving directly to a cause. You know, RAINN is an organization that if you yourself are sort of suffering from sexual abuse, or if you know somebody who is, you know, feel free to, or rather I encourage you to actually take advantage of their services, you know, whether that be the hotline, whether that be, you know, their sort of internet interface where you can chat with them, just trying to make people more aware of the fact that, if you are dealing with this kind of difficulty, if you are, you know, at the other end of this kind of abuse, there are resources out there for you. There are people out there who are willing to help. There are organizations that do make a difference. You know, you are not necessarily alone in these situations. So yes, a good message here and a good, you know, opportunity to remind you guys that, you know, we're not just giving money here, but making people aware of the fact that organizations like this do exist. Says the Blizzard, is there any music from Black Bear that you do like? I know you didn't like Digital Drug Lord, but I am curious. Keep up the good vegan work. Yes, my work is quite vegan. I will say that. I do not spend a whole lot of time eating steak in my videos or anything like that. No, I mean, I can't say that I got that deep into Black Bear stuff in preparation for sort of giving a listen to Digital Drug Lord. I heard a few, you know, early cuts here and there, but I didn't really care for Digital Drug Lord. And the material there and what I heard that came out prior didn't really, you know, sort of pique my interest. So I didn't really get that deep into it, to be honest. I did not get that deep into it. It's just not really for me. And I think that his take on this whole alternative R&B sound is just really, it's a little guh. But, you know, if you're a fan, all the more power to you, I would say. Do a rain dance. Oh, that's a good one. And that's also kind of cultural appropriation, isn't it? Come on. This is trying to be an offensive, a non-offensive stream. Thank you. I don't even know what a rain dance would be. Like, yay, we're helping. Is this a dance? Am I dancing? I don't know. Take $10 for yourself, Melon Man. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. This is all charity stream. This is all charity. If you want to give me $10, we'll do it on the next stream. And so if you have $10 for me, you can save it for that stream. But as of right now, this stream is all for a cause. Moving on from there, why do I hate Plans by Death Cab? Oh, I think it's just kind of boring. I think it's just kind of generic, you know, to be honest. You know, that record came out during a time when I personally was going through kind of a weird phase with indie myself, because I remember a lot of these bands sounding really good and sort of literally being indie bands, literally being independent bands. And then you had a lot of these groups matriculating over to like major labels, and the indie name, the indie phrase was really just kind of a meaningless umbrella term that didn't really mean anything. And I think that's just an example of, you know, one of many of bands that sort of hopped onto major labels that it was just kind of really generic and boring and low key. Also on top of that, I kind of felt like there was a bit of an electronic music influence that was bleeding into the band's sound because the Postal Service kind of took off. But you know, I feel like it's just kind of an uninteresting record in my opinion. And I wouldn't say I hate it. I just think it's kind of okay. You know, it just sort of pales in comparison to everything the band had done up until that point. You know, it's like Transatlanticism, like it's such a superior record. But yeah, I wouldn't say I hate it. I just think it's just kind of plain and drab. Hey, Anthony, what did you think of Midnight_Sun? Just put out a new song on Bandcamp titled Awakening that's quite different from the earlier work. I don't know. I'll take this recommendation and sort of check it out. I'm not familiar with their work. Hello, Anthony. I'd like to recommend to any black metal fans watching this, the Polish band Migla, MGLA. Somehow, one of their albums, Exercises in Futility, reached 2 million views on YouTube. That's pretty cool. Do they have, like, the L in their name? Does that have a cross through it? MGLA... But is that the band that I'm thinking of? Is that like the correct? Yeah, okay. So I've heard this band before, although I'm not recalling them what their sound is exactly off the top of my head. But I'll remind myself to try out their stuff too, and that's cool for them to sort of see that there's like legitimately good black music out there that's getting a lot of traction on YouTube. That's cool. Wondering if you've ever heard of the band Breach and what you think of them. Also, hope you're not dissuaded by the hit pieces. Your memes were obviously not inflammatory, and I hope you continue them. I would like to. You know, I'm interested in that potentially. And listen, I still am very much of a memester. You know, I'm always down to share some Fantano memes. So if you guys, you know, hit up our freaking subreddit, the Fantano Heads or the Fantano Forever subreddit. There's a lot of good Fantano memes over there, or, you know, it's also a good place to submit some Fantano memes. There are always some good Fantano memes there. So, you know, indulge in the memes there, share the memes there. And often, you know, if some good Fantano memes end up over there, I usually put them up on my social media too. So I'm always down for a good meme. No, I have not heard of the band Breach, but I will save this and try them out and sort of go over here and remind myself. Breach. I've never heard of that band. No one's ever recommended that band to me. I have not heard of that band. They came out with a few records in the 2000s. I don't know. I'll give them a shot. I'll see what's up. As a diehard Krallice fan, they are probably my favorite band. Really? That's interesting. For Krallice to be your favorite band. Not to say that's a bad thing. What the heck? What the heck is going on? What is going on? Why is it? Here we go. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds or Mountain Goats Worst to Best? Maybe. Although, where did that question go? Oh, did that really okay. All right, here it is. I found it down here. Oh, come on. Okay. All right. I'm surprised you enjoyed their latest release based on thoughts of their more recent stuff. Not saying I didn't like it. I did. Listen, I've tried a few tracks from their newest album. I thought they were good. I haven't you know, prepared a review for it or anything. So, you know, opinions on that album are still likely to change. But Krallice is still a good band. You know, they're still a quality metal band with a lot of creativity, and you know, they're still easily one of the more experimental and adventurous bands out there. I just think they're sounding lately a little bit too much like your average Colin Marston project. You know what I mean? I thought they had a pretty distinct sound going into it. And now I feel like that's kind of slipping away, but maybe they're morphing into something entirely different, which is, you know, totally cool. Hey, Fantano, have you listened to the band Chastity Belt? I have. I don't recall caring for them too much, honestly. And what is your favorite Sweater Kinney album? I think you meant Sleater, but probably The Woods. Keep up the good work. Appreciate your reviews. Yeah, that record is incredible, and I think it is a little underrated because it's more of a late era album, but it is an incredible album. Have you ever heard the band Greta Van Fleet and thoughts? Yes, I have heard them before. I think they're one of those bands that sounds so alike another band that they're almost like a cover band, but not quite like a cover band. You know what I mean? There's not really a word for it. Like, you know, you're obviously a cover band if you're performing cover songs, but some groups out there sound so alike a particular band, and they rip off that particular band's sound so hard that, you know, they're kind of just like covering their sound, and, and that's it. I mean, I guess when you wear your influences on your sleeves that boldly and your influences are so few and far between, it's a little bit of a turnoff for me. I don't mind having clear influences, but, you know, like kind of break it up and mold them into something different, you know, as opposed to just kind of like living vicariously through the sound of another artist that preceded you by decades, you know, I guess is sort of my thoughts. But the Music Bros, I've never heard of the Music Bros. What the heck is the Music Bros? It sounds like an official channel or something. I'll have to check out the Music Bros and see what you guys are doing. Got some album reviews over here. I'll check out the Music Bros. I'll see what you guys are doing. But good question. Thank you very much for the generous donation, which again, you know, that's on. I saved that page for the Breach. Again, is all the super chat donations are going to RAINN, the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization, for this particular stream. All right. Let's continue through here. Philip Reed Green, and we are going to be going till 10:30 here because I do have a splitting headache, but I wanted to do a somewhat full live stream here. Hey, Anthony, you planning on doing a review of the new 3-hour-long Prurient album? I would like to, although it is going to be a very tough slog at 3 hours long. Don't be a wimp. I'll try not to be a wimp, although I'm not promising that I won't be a wimp. Sometimes your boy Fantano, he has a lot to do, and he does wimp out because, you know, I didn't listen to that new frickin' Autechre record, okay, which is like 5 discs. Like I didn't do it. And, you know, sometimes just some albums are too long, and I feel like these days, just like, God, like they're so, like albums are getting so freaking long in the age of streaming. You know, that new Janae Aiko record is 90 minutes long. That new Chris Brown album is 2.5 hours long. Not that I'm going to review it. I'm not. I'm skipping that album. And I was probably going to skip it even if it was 30 minutes long. But regardless, like, why are things getting so long? Stop it. Let's see. Did I get a chance to listen to Tiny Hazard Greyland from the last stream? I did not, but I did save that recommendation. Thank you very much, Joker 12, Joker 12. Also, what did I think of Susie and the Banshees album, The Scream? I don't know if I listened to that one all the way through. No, I know I gave it a deep listen for a post-punk list that I had to do one time. Yes, that one I'm not as crazy about as like some of their 80s stuff, you know, where they sort of define their sound a little bit, but it's still a very good album. But I don't really have many thoughts on it beyond that, to be honest. Let me see. Hey, Melon Man, can you help me settle an argument with some by pronouncing? Okay, well, hold on a second. You already know I'm terrible at pronouncing things and that I mispronounce things all the time and that people are always on my ass for mispronouncing things. So you're asking the wrong person here, but I will answer anyway. Pronouncing the name, I would say Holden Caulfield. Also, thanks for the music recommendations and have a nice day. Yes, I would say Holden Caulfield, like a phone call and then field. I don't know how else you would say it. Caulfield? I imagine it's the last name that you're having an argument about pronouncing. What do I think about Ron Jarzenbeck projects? Watchtower, Spastic Ink, Blotted Science. I can't even say. But it sounds really funky and really fusiony and really proggy. I'll say that. I'll guess that. I'm going to guess that. I'm going to guess it's not I'm going to guess it's not a grindcore guy. Even with just his last name. You tell me that last name, I'm like, I bet that guy plays like some artsy, proggy, fusiony. I'm going to totally verify this. I'm going to totally verify that and sort of see. I'm going to try to let's see, progressive metal. I knew it. Although I did say funky, so I was kind of wrong on that. But sort of progressive metal over here. Progressive metal, technical death metal. Yes, I mean, honestly, I cannot say. But I knew there's an element of prog there, just by that last name. Someone gives you that last name, and you start playing music, it's going to be prog. It's going to be some prog in there. You know, assuming it's not a stage name. Hey, Melon, how did / do you choose when Classics Week is? Also, have you seen Baby Driver? If not, I highly recommend it. If so, what did you think? I have not seen Baby Driver. Excellent Danny Brown icon over there. And I have chosen a few Classics Week records as of right now, I believe. Let me sort of make sure. Actually, as of right now, I have not planned Classics Week at all. So, I mean, I suppose there are still is still room for some suggestions to be made. So yes, I have not planned my Classics Week, although I did say to myself that maybe I was going to do like some PJ Harvey this year or something. And that's still very much on the table. But outside of that, I don't know how much I've really kind of planned for for Classics Week this year. I don't think I really have. So you guys caught me with my Classics Week pants down. Honestly, I haven't even really been thinking about that as much as I've been thinking about List Week, which I'm really excited about this year. What is my opinion on Scroofy? If I don't know how to say his name, the content he creates and his approach to music criticism. Thanks for answering my earlier question and running this channel. Hope you enjoy / review Hawaii Part 2. You know, I think his reviews are sort of to the point, you know, and I like that he sort of goes into his critiques with a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. And sometimes I would like him to sort of elaborate a little bit more on some of his points. And, you know, sometimes I hate that he's so picky. He is so stingy. He's even stingier than me in some ways. However, you know, I will say that I feel like it's kind of a bit of a part of the natural order that the more that you hear, not the worse music gets or, you know, the more uninteresting music gets, but, you know, the harder it is to kind of surprise you. That's not to say that music won't still be intriguing to me when I'm 50 or 60, you know, it most likely still will be, but, you know, it's probably going to be harder to impress me at that point, you know? So, you know, he seems really picky, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, I sort of see him as kind of being in like a sage position, I guess, at this point. But I also like that he's very prolific. You know, I mean, if I was just kind of doing like these blurby text style reviews and stuff, I'd probably try to be as prolific as that. But I guess I'm pretty prolific in the capacity that I am now, you know, but it would be nicer to be able to cover even more ground than I am at the moment, because unfortunately I just cannot review everything. Let's move on to the next one. What do I think of Jeff Lynne's voice production style? He produced The Traveling Wilburys, Tom Petty's Full Moon, Ferret Fever, Full Moon Fever, ELO tracks. You know, there's some Jeff Lynne, you know, solo, you know, singles and stuff that I have a bit of a soft spot in my heart for. You know, some of his like, you know, cornier, sillier pop rock tracks. And I think he's a good producer. You know, some of the Traveling Wilburys stuff after it was suggested on this live stream is kind of odd. You know, like the way that the vocals kind of intertwined together on that record didn't sound the best, but it did have kind of a cool, raw sound to it. And, you know, ELO has always, you know, had like a bit of a pretty slick, you know, nice, vibe to their instrumentation and their sound overall. I respect him. I respect the dude. Hey Melon, do you have any favorite classical composers, compositions, Beethoven worst to best? Oh, dude, a Beethoven worst to best? Oh, hell yeah. I mean, sort of. You know, honestly, like like obviously guys like Phil Glass. You know, I love a lot of cool modern minimal stuff, but I'm not expert enough on classical music to comment in any deep sort of profound way, and I feel like a complete ass when I talk about it. And you know, I haven't even like made a list of any favorites. I'm just a dickhead, you know, when it comes to classical music. I suck. One, you should do Hot Ones. I mean, that's not really my decision. If that was if those sorts of things were my decision, I'd just be on like I'd be on like Jimmy Kimmel, you know. Not to say that I wouldn't want to be on Hot Ones. I definitely do want to be on Hot Ones. That would be fun. And I'm told that if you go on Hot Ones and you're a vegan, they get you vegan wings, so which would be really cool. But you know, if I had the power to just go wherever I wanted and be featured wherever I wanted to be, I'd just be on Jimmy Kimmel. I'd go on the Joe Rogan podcast. Hell, I'd even be a guest on Kyle Kalinski's Secular Talk, and that's not even a show that has guests. Shout out to Kyle Kalinski, he's the man. The new John Mark McMillan album, Mercury and Lightning, is way underrated. You should check it out if you get a chance. I will save that recommendation and sort of look that up because I am curious about the one. John Mark McMillan, Mercury and Lightning. Interesting. I don't think anyone's even suggested that to me. Listening to Bauhaus V1, it good. Oh, it is good. Is it frowned upon to recommend my own synth punk? No. I mean, did you just do it? Did you just do that? Are you going to do it in another super chat? I mean, you could do what you want. You know, people have suggested their own music in the past, and it's happened. Hey man, what are your thoughts on Art Brut's Bang Bang Rock and Roll? Also, did you get a chance to review the new or listen to the new Little Peep Julian Casablancas? So wait a second. Okay, hold on a second. Did that happen? Is that for real? Okay, wait. Little Peep sets himself on fire, a new Awful Things video. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I have it queued up now, and I will check it out after this. When some people said that in the last live stream, I thought it was a meme. I literally thought you guys were joking, and I thought it was a meme. So I have it queued up now. I'm going to listen to it, or I'm going to check it out after this live stream is over, which it looks like we have 30 more minutes left or so. So I will listen to it, and I will check it out after this. But honestly, I thought it was a meme when you guys brought it up last time. As far as the Art Brut album, I have not listened to that one all the way through, I don't think. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm not really that into their stuff. Like, I know there were like a lot of indie rock bands in the 2000s that were kind of hot, but that was a train that I just did not jump on, honestly. I cannot really comment on their take on the whole indie rock post-punk revival thing, to be honest. But I will check out the Little Peep Julian Casablancas collab because now that I know that that's not a meme, I am legit curious. Favorite Beatles songs? Oh man, Happiness is a Warm Gun. She's So Heavy, Something. I got to admit, it's getting better. Oh boy, I'm trying to think of what else. Why don't we do it in the road? There's a lot of great Beatles songs. But I mean, most of my favorites end up on the White Album because I just like how varied and sort of off the wall that record is. I'm the Walrus, Strawberry Fields Forever. Those are good ones. For No One and RAINN. I would definitely, Strawberry Fields is definitely, probably definitely a top 15 Beatles song. Also, do I prefer Lennon's work or McCartney's? I'm probably more of a Lennon guy. Probably more of a Lennon guy. Have you ever heard Circuit de You, and what is your opinion on their music? I'm not well versed enough in their discography or their catalog to comment, although it seems like I need to remedy that, don't I? Thank you very much for making me do that. Yeah, I mean, I guess I hear some people mentioning his music here and there, but it's not anything I've gotten into personally, although I think I did hear a bit off of In Plain Speech a few years ago. But from what I'm looking at right now, it seems like some people are kind of hyping up the new record, Reaching for Indigo, which I have not heard, so I'm kind of curious about that. Let's move on from there. Anthony, what are the current TV shows, video games, comics, novels, and other non-music media content at all you are consuming at the moment? I still play a lot of Super Smash Brothers. I've been meaning to still play my copy of Breath of the Wild, and I haven't because I suck. I've been watching a lot of Broad City. I've been watching a lot of the new season of American Horror Story, which I think is one of the best seasons that they've had so far. And it's obviously crazy. It's obviously corny. It's obviously silly, but I just find it really entertaining. Leave me alone. My wife and I watch a little bit of This Is Us, even though it is a corny, sort of a heartstring sort of drama kind of thing. But we think it's cute. I like The Last Man on Earth. Adult Swim, been watching a lot of Adult Swim. The new season of South Park is pretty banging. I'm not really sure what else I'm watching sort of religiously at the moment. I think I'll sort of leave it at that. Have I ever listened to And Also the Trees? If I ever were to only recommend one album, it would be their 27 album. I have, but I don't think I've listened to their 2007 record, so I will save that. I have, let's see. What are your thoughts on Comus' First Utterance? Also, Talk, Laughingstock, Spirit of Eden. That would make a good classic review, I think. I haven't talked about any Talk, or I haven't really talked about a whole lot of post-rock from that particular era of post-rock, you know what I mean? So that would probably make a good sort of classic, review, or even to include that record in like a starter pack or something, because I probably should get working on my next starter pack video. I wrote up, 6 releases for like a sludge metal starter pack, and I think I might release that next and, move from there on to another one. Can you look at my super chat? It went away, and the chat is a little less busy now. Oh, yes, that is true. The chat is a little less busy now, and there are some super chats that I did miss, I think. I got that one. Let me sort of try to hit up some of these other ones that are over here. I'm going to sort of scroll through a few over here that I think might have disappeared. Thoughts on You'd Prefer Astronaut by Hum? I have not heard that one enough to comment. Melon, I'm super broke, but it's for a great cause. I wanted to ask, in the spirit of this great togetherness, what are your thoughts on the Gits? I cannot comment. I do not know. Moving on. Oh, that's sliding. Don't slide over there. Have I heard the new Brand New's Devil and God Are Raging Inside of? Well, yeah. I would love to hear your thoughts. I think it's a great record. Straightforward, nice. Brand New has this way of writing epic tracks that kind of have a nice immediacy to them, and I think that record is certainly an example of that. And I think it's a very good album. Let me see. Have I listened to... Oh, this one's a $20 one that I missed somehow. Have I listened to MF Grimm's The Downfall of Ibelius and Count Basie's Dwight Spitz, 2 of my favorite albums. Downfall should be respected just for it being made in under 24 hours. What? I did not know that. I didn't even know that about that record. But yeah, I think that one's good. Although I have not listened to a whole lot of MF Grimm's stuff outside of like the collaborative stuff with MF Doom. So I'm not like, well versed on that record, but I did not know that about that Count Basie album. That's fucking epic as fuck. And I guess so was it just recorded in that amount of time? Was it like written in that amount of time? It couldn't have just like been completely written in that amount of time, but recorded and sort of put together in that amount of time. I'm going to have to look into that because that sounds like really awesome. Let me see. Will there be a new shirt on your website soon? I do have a new shirt in the works, although right now going up next on the website is going to be slip mats. So you will see that in the new McThaverscan album, which to me doesn't sound that much different than the last McThaverscan album, is going to be sort of included in the next Why You Know review. Hey, Dr. Melonhead, how do you stay positive with all the craziness going on in the world and the environment? Also keep being a great person. Love you. Listen, guys, like I try to be as positive as I possibly can, sort of in the context of my content and everything. And not to say that I turn off the camera and I just become a super negative person. That's not the case. However, I feel like to sort of just turn myself negative is not going to necessarily fix the problem. You know what I mean? Obviously, I get stressed and I get upset and I get unhappy with the current state of things. Or, when things are personally bugging me or something is going wrong with me personally. Like I'm not, just like this super happy person that never has a bad day. That's just not the case. However, I feel like it makes sense to stay positive on the whole, because ultimately if positivity is what you want to see in the world, positivity is what you have to put out into the world. And again, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not saying that I'm positive all the time or that I've been positive 100% of the time ever. But, generally that's what I try to aim for. Because ultimately that's, what I want to see. So that's kind of my mentality going into that. Have I heard the band The Front Bottoms? Yes. They used to be one of my favorites, but I'm wondering what your opinion on them is. I think they're okay, but I think the new record is pretty lackluster. So lackluster, like after my initial listen to it, I'm just not really that enthused to get too deep into the record. And I've gotten some requests for it, but I haven't been that sort of enthused to review it. Maybe I'll end up catching up with it later. I'll put a reminder on my calendar over here to at least do some kind of coverage of it at some point. But I was not crazy about the new album at all. Hey, have I seen? No. Hopefully I'm getting to this. How do I feel about the new Nerd song? I'll be talking about the new Nerd song in the new Best Worst Tracks video this weekend. So, see it there. Although, something to run by you guys is that maybe I might consider doing like some track reviews or track reactions on the Fantano channel. Let me know what you guys think about that, because, it certainly would be interesting to potentially maybe get some reviews and thoughts on new songs out there, especially big songs out there, quicker than I might just doing, a video, the Best Worst Tracks videos on the weekend. Let me know about that. Would appreciate your thoughts. Pobler says, Charity, thank you very much. Let me see. I got that one. Got that one. Zachary Haynes, thank you. What is your honest opinion of Imagine Dragons? Sorry if you've already been asked this. Haven't personally seen you mention them before. Not really a big Imagine Dragons guy. I find them kind of boring, to be completely honest. I think their production is just a little too overblown and overwrought and just over everything. And I think like sonically, a lot of their songs are kind of formulaic. Like, you always kind of have that booming, super epic, like howling chorus and, the drab verse that kind of is trying to build up tension, but it never really kind of varies all that much. Obviously they have songs here and there that kind of go outside of that formula, but I find the band to be a little one-dimensional, for as dynamic as they're trying to sound. They are kind of predictable, and I don't really care for them all that much, but, not everything out there is made for me, and that's completely fine. Always watched your videos and wanted to ask your opinion on less talented singers that don't have traditionally good voices. Do you like them? I guess it depends on their emotional delivery and their lyrics and sort of whatever they do as far as performance. Like, for example, Lou Reed is not the best singer on the planet. However, I would say he's a very good performer. I would say he's a very good frontman. And a very sort of compelling, again, I'll say the word performer. And that's because of his style. That's because of his lyrical content. That's because of a lot of different things. His qualities as a songwriter. What makes him a great artist does not necessarily have to do with his vocal chops. You know what I mean? And having vocal chops doesn't necessarily mean that you have the ability to write good music or you have the ability to pen good lyrics. I do typically like people who take a different approach to singing, as I like a lot of people who take a different approach to, playing drums or playing guitar or producing beats or whatever. I like people who come up with ideas that are a little off the beaten path. Even if they don't end up turning me on at the end of the day, it is interesting to hear somebody doing something a little different. Hey, Fantano, got that one, got that one, got that one, got that one. Thoughts on Preview 73. Haven't been getting huge into them lately, but I've been meaning to. Is it too late? Or what happened to the Machine Girl review? It's still on my calendar. It's just kind of gotten slid back because I've had so many other things to review. Donated last stream, but opinion on Nick Drake's Pink Moon. It's a beautiful record. Beautiful, intimate, and very low-key album, which I'm glad kind of got the attention it finally deserved. Not that I was, an early adopter of that record or anything like that. It came out years before I was born. But it's awesome every once in a while to hear an album that is so old sort of become so popular almost, overnight. Kind of a delayed popularity. Beta Band, great Scottish band. I'll shoot myself a reminder to check them out. I've never gotten into them, honestly. Here's another Bandcamp recommendation from Derek Vaughn. Thank you very much for the generous donation. And I'll take that recommendation. You skipped me, and maybe it was intentional. It probably wasn't intentional. I apologize for that. As to what you thought about the new Faceless singles and the album announcement, I have not heard the new singles because I don't know if I'm going to end up reviewing the new album. However, I will see if I can work, maybe a reaction to the new singles in the new Best Worst video. I've never been a huge Faceless guy, but maybe the new record will tickle my fancy for whatever reason. Are they doing something different this time around? I'd be interested to know, I guess. Okay, here we go. I think this is the guy who I missed. I never checked, but have you listened to the Halloween 3 soundtrack like I requested? I did listen to a bunch of the Halloween 3 soundtrack, and I think I talked about it in the last live stream. But yes, I did give it a listen. I thought it was very good. Obviously, a larger production scale than the original Halloween soundtrack, after giving it a listen. But yeah, I did actually end up giving it a listen. I did talk about that in a previous live stream, I'm pretty sure. Also, do I have an opinion on the Blade Runner soundtrack by Vangelis? Yeah, I think it's one of Vangelis's better ones up there with like Chariots of Fire. I haven't listened to any music from the new Blade Runner soundtrack. I don't really know much about the new Blade Runner soundtrack, if it sort of runs along the lines of the original one or anything like that. But I think the Blade Runner soundtrack is great. It's kind of really up there with one of the, some of the best progressive synth albums out there. And I think, let me see, since grime is only about 15 years old, do I think it has potential to be what hip-hop is now? Also Pixies or Sonic Youth? I think I'm a little bit more of a Pixies guy. And although I think recent Sonic Youth is better than recent Pixies. And I think grime has potential to cross over into the U.S., especially with this Big Shaq dude. I know that everything, surrounding that is just a big fucking meme, but I would not be surprised if that sort of becomes like a bit of an inception point. And that reminds me, a lot of people have been asking me to listen to the new Skepta EP, and I need to remind myself to listen to that. But I would not be surprised if that sort of became like a little bit of an introductory point for a lot of people sort of getting into grime, like that big skippy that pop, 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 boom. that freestyle meme. I would not be surprised if that was like kind of like an introductory point to grime for a lot of people who ended up like appreciating the genre as a result of kind of like loving that meme and loving that song that he's come out with because of the meme. Let me see. Vantana Row is Moscow's Death Grips. I am going to try to verify that myself. Thank you for the recommendation. I think I got most of these. Thank you, James Acaster, for the... okay, let's see. This guy says, "Hey, Cuckthany Boy Tana, my sister works for RAINN, so I'd like to thank you for doing this live stream. Please share some of your thoughts on if and how the depiction of women in hip-hop affects the genre's artistic legitimacy." Let's see. Have I listened to Chester Watson? Yes, but I'm not really crazy about his stuff. It's a little sleepy, in my opinion. Could I do a quick Velvet Underground worst to best since they only have 4 records if you discount Squeeze? I should probably do a Velvet Underground worst to best, although I will get to the RAINN question. Just hold on a second. What do I think of the gothic post-punk band Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry? Also, opinion on the new John Mouse album. I think the new John Mouse record kind of sounds like a somewhat boring Ariel Pink album, to be honest, which is kind of weird because I don't think John Mouse's earlier stuff sounds a lot like Ariel Pink's, but it's kind of like distracting on this new record over here. But what do I think about the depiction of women in hip-hop affects the genre's artistic legitimacy? I don't know if it really affects the genre's artistic legitimacy. I mean, hip-hop is pretty legitimate as a genre, even though there are lots of things that go on in the content of the music that are pretty questionable, whether that be the way that women are depicted or if that be like, let's say, and I am going to try to take some newer super chats here. Sorry if I missed some other ones, whether that be the depiction of women or whether that be sort of the out and out violence that ends up in some hip hop songs. So, I mean, you can't really, sort of discount the genre's legitimacy at this point. I mean, let's take, for example, like XXXTentacion. Like obviously the charges that are against the dude are really heinous and really extreme and, super significant. But you can't sort of take away the dude's legitimacy as an artist because like that's kind of an objective fact at this point. I'm not complimenting the dude. I'm not saying the dude is a great artist or anything like that, but like the dude's, whether I like him or not, or whether other people like him or not, or whether other people choose to not have anything to do with him because of his reputation or not, he has a huge fan base. He's making music. He has a multi-million-dollar deal on a record label. He tours. He has lots of fans. Like, the dude has legitimacy whether you like him or not. And that's kind of also the case with hip-hop too. Now, would it be nice to hear hip-hop become a little bit more, I guess, open, or I guess, I don't know. I feel like what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more balanced in terms of its narrative and its overall message when it comes to women. Yes, but I don't necessarily feel like that means that we need to kick any and every record or kick any and every artist, out of the scene, or sort of witch hunt every and any artist that says something that we don't like. I feel like what needs to happen is the audience in general needs to be more open when they hear like a Rhapsody, for example. Like, it's kind of a shame that Rhapsody's new album is excellent as it is, and it's kind of going underappreciated, not only by the general rap fan base, but like by a lot of people who consider themselves to be, hardcore hip hop fans and that sort of thing. Classic album review. I haven't even heard this record, so I'll have to try it out. I don't want to miss these out because they're $5 ones and they're going quick. Quick Black Keys worst to best right now. The best is going to be probably like, Rubber Factory. And the worst is going to be their newest album, and whatever's in between, I can't remember right now. Thoughts on Derek Higgins and his channel music? Some of Derek's music is okay, some cool like electronic ambient stuff, but his channel is excellent. Like, if you're a record collecting nerd and you're really passionate about music, shout out to Derek Higgins, because that dude is an OG. That dude is a hardcore motherfucker. He's, a little picky, and obviously, he is a little, his tastes don't fully line up with mine, and there are some things that I feel like he's not as open to as I would like for him to be. However, he's very open with his biases and his preferences, and I feel like you can't really hate on that. You know what I mean? So shout out to Derek. He's one of the realest dudes on YouTube in the music community. Let's move on from there, and you can quote me on that. Thoughts on Rex Orange County? I think he's a good guy. You know, I love what he's done with Frank Ocean, but I'm sort of waiting for him to come out with something solo that kind of blows me away. Been falling asleep to Julia Holter's Loud City Song. This is a beautiful record. What are some other good albums to fall asleep to? Also, hype for the new Shamir tomorrow, possibly. I have been interested in the preliminary tracks to that record. And I don't really know any other records to fall asleep to because, honestly, I cannot fall asleep to music. Or typically when I do, I do not come away liking it. You know, I'm just like, ugh, I hate that I fell asleep to that. That makes me so pissed. You know, like... you know, Flying Lotus, like When the Quiet Comes, that sort of thing. You know, that record I remember put me to sleep a little bit. And again, it's like typically falling asleep to music is not something I do. Typically when I do fall asleep to it, I do not have a restful sleep. And typically it just keeps me so stimulated mentally that I just cannot sleep at all. So it's not something I do, not something I enjoy to do. You should give Our Bones a listen, political metal band from the middle of nowhere. Okay, I'll take that Reco Breco. And hey, Charles, then he Rosentano. Last time I asked you about your favorite recording of Well-Tempered Clavier. Did Melon Boy do his homework? No, I did not. I don't even remember that one, so I apologize for missing that. God, how many recordings of that are there? Like, will I have to listen to hours and hours and hours of Well-Tempered Clavier, clavier, blah, 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 to sort of get an answer to this? Because honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be doing my homework on this one. But do know that your $5 is going to be going toward a good cause. Let's see. Do a Queens of the Stone Age worst to best? A lot of people have been requesting this, and that would be a nice discography. Like, it's not too big, it's not too sizable. Although, yeah, no, I guess I don't have too many reservations about that. Thank you, Captain Falcon. You always give during one of these things, and I love you. Falcon Punch. A bit ago, you tweeted about Human Bloom Nightshade, which was excellent. It seems like you enjoyed it. Are there some artists that are too small to review? I wouldn't say anybody is too small to review, and I do like, you know, elements of that, but it's just kind of a matter of whether or not I listen to it and I'm like, oh man, I really like this and I really need to review it because I feel like this is super essential for me to turn people onto, you know what I mean? Any music from this year that has made you cry? Honestly, there were some points on the new Big Crit that I teared up a little bit at. You know, specifically the Justin Scott part, specifically, you know, the last track of the first disc, specifically some moments on the end of the second disc. So I will say that there are some moments on that record that did make me tear up a little bit because it is amazing to sort of see an artist who I've been listening to for a while, like really reach an artistic peak. You know, but also some of his most heartfelt and some of his most cutting lyrics do end up on this new record. Hey, Anthony, I saw you in the comment section of a couple Michael Christmas videos. I thought that was cool. I always believed he was underrated. Yeah, he's definitely got like, you know, an amazing flow to what he does. He's like a super technically talented dude. Favorite Animal Collective record? I mean, it's probably either Sung Tongs or Strawberry. And I think a lot of people are way too hard on Meriwether Post Pavilion for being as popular as it is. I think it's a great record. What do I think about Bill Wirt's music and humor? I don't even know. I'm going to have to check that out. Anybody who has humor, I'm curious. Especially if you have humor in your music, because I do like music that has a nice humorous quality to it. All right, man. What the hell are you guys saying? Beethoven worst to best? Ugh, you guys are going to troll me with that forever. Big Crit, y'all. Let's see. Favorite porn star. I don't know if I have a favorite porn star. Dad, Falcon Punch. Fraud, Babe, Beethoven worst to best, Gucci Socks. Shout out my mucus. Dick. Have I ever eaten poop? I have not eaten poop, thankfully. That's something I can put out there that I've never done, which I'm really proud of. I'm really proud of having not eaten any poop. Are there Grimes fans equivalent to Rick and Morty fans? Yes. Is this sort of a takeoff of the video that I did on the Fantano channel? Because on the Fantano channel, I talked about anything that sort of amasses a huge following or like a huge passionate following. You have fans within that following that are really like evangelical and are really annoying and are really obnoxious. And I remember when Grimes like sort of blew up off of Visions, like there were tons of Grimes fans, especially the ones on like 4chan, who were like obsessed with her. And they were so obsessed with her, even she had to like publicly put them in check. Like, stop, you know, like being in love with me and being creepy and obsessing over me and just like taking things too far. So I don't know if like the fandom is as crazy and as off the wall as it used to be. It may not be, but there definitely have been Grimes fans in the past, at least, that were the equivalent of Rick and Morty fans. I asked in a live stream recently for more recommendations like Kieran J. Callanan, and you said Alex Cameron's new record, and I was like, oh, and I already know that. I don't really know too many more musicians that are like Kieran J. Callanan, honestly. Like, obviously, you can look into the guy's influences, but as far as like contemporaries who are doing something similar to him, not really. You know, he's kind of like a one-of-a-kind dude. I find similarities between him and Ariel Pink, but you probably know him already. So I can't really say, honestly. If I knew a bunch of Kieran J. Callanans, I probably would have reviewed them by now. Or if I found them as entertaining and as fantastic as Kieran, then I probably would have talked about them by now. But, you know, I don't have like a secret stash of artists that are similar to Kieran J. Callanan. Maybe you should ask Kieran, you know, hit him up on Twitter and sort of ask if he has any recommendations. Why do I hate Homeshake? I just find their music kind of drab, that's all. I don't really hate them. I just don't really have a strong opinion on Homeshake, especially the latest record, the really synthy one. I don't really care for it. But thank you for the donation. It is going to a good cause. We do have a few more minutes left here, so if you did want to donate to RAINN there... Oh, wait, hold on. Let me switch that because I had to remind myself to listen to that later. If you guys wanted to donate to RAINN directly and, you know, you missed the live stream or whatever, or if it's coming down to the wire, or if you just don't have the money right now, you can always go to rainn.org, RAINN.org, and sort of donate at a later date. And I'll put this donation, when I do the donation, up on Twitter and up on Instagram, and it'll probably go up on Facebook too. So the amount that we ended up donating and sort of collected here in this live stream will be announced in a few days once that donation is made. Commissioner Lando with a picture of me says, I've been legit obsessed with Stranger Things soundtrack and I need recommendations, please. I can't get enough of the muted repetitive synths. I'm forwarding this to everybody in the stream. Hit me up on Twitter at Frames for the Win. You know, please recommend to this guy some like 80s synth shit and some, you know, like, you know, electro, you know, like synth shit. You know, on Bandcamp, there's a lot of good stuff that, you know, that'll totally scratch that 80s itch. So please make some recommendations to this dude over on Twitter, Frames for the Win, Frames FTW at Frames FTW, which I think this is an excellent use of the super chat for us to collectively come together and figure out ways to recommend music to one another, leaving our Twitter handles up. So this has been a really great idea. Thank you very much, Commissioner Orlando. Have I heard Porter Robinson's new project, Virtual Self? I have not, because I didn't really care for, you know, the last album or anything. Although some people do still give me shit for kind of giving that a somewhat lukewarm review. But, you know, I could listen to another one of his records. You know, Worlds isn't like the, you know, the only thing I should probably hear from him. Although I am seeing this picture of him on stage and he looks terrible. I'm sorry about that. But you know, I could give it a shot. I think he's doing some different stuff aesthetically. Also, favorite activity to consume music with, either going to the gym or running, I would say. Wait, oh, what the frick? There's a lot of super chats are pouring in because this is about to end. I'll try to hit all of them up. You mind going back to my super chat? I'm sorry if I missed it. I'll try to go back and go down after the cutoff at 10:30 and try to see if I've missed any. Have I heard Joyner Lucas's new project? And if so, is a review in the works? A review is not in the works. I just thought the record was just really kind of too long and boring and didn't really do anything for me, honestly. Like, I think he has a lot of talent when it comes to flow, but I think stylistically he's a little all over the place. And sometimes his narratives and his topics don't really pan out into anything interesting, in my opinion. Benjamin Clementine, To Tell a Fly. It is on my to-do list, and I am going to try to be giving that album an in-depth listen over the weekend. And I do want to talk about it in at least a Why You Know review, although at this point I don't really think that's going to be the case. I do want to give it a formal review. Hey, Anthony, what do I think about bands like Infinite Annihilator that are blending harder metal music with comical titles and lyrics? I think they're funny. I think they're hilarious. You know, to me, that stuff is like kind of a takeoff of the very extreme, gruesome metal music from the old days, or like Anal Cunt or something like that. And I feel like, you know, there needs to sort of be that kind of thing, you know, because like I feel like music that's offensive for the sake of being offensive is hilarious and amazing and necessary. And, you know, people who hate on it and people who try to stand in its way, you know, suck and are shitheads. Anthony, there's an artist who talks about rape in his music. Please give it a listen. His name is AP3 Kid. No, thank you. No, thank you. However, hopefully the $5 that you donated here goes to help somebody who has suffered such a tragedy. And thanks for the response on Pig Destroyer question. What would you give Pig Destroyer's Terrifier out of 10? Also, New Big Crit is amazing. I don't know, probably an 8 or a 9 or something. Hey, Fantananan, what do you think music communities / scenes are normally super left-wing? Wait, why do I think they're super left-wing? Also, what do I think about people sexualizing Finn Wolfhard and other young characters from shows like Stranger Things? I think that's gross. The last question there. Don't do that. Don't be a gross person. And why do I think a lot of music communities are left? I mean, not all of them are. I mean, you do have like some metal communities and some, you know, like black metal communities that are very right-wing or nationalistic or something like that. And, you know, honestly, like there are a lot of elements of the hip hop community and the black community in general that are sort of very traditionalist and are very conservative, you know, not necessarily in like a Republican sort of way, but kind of like in an old school kind of moral values, like, you know, male sort of masculinity domination sort of way. So, you know, don't assume that, you know, most music communities are left leaning. However, why do I think that is? I don't really know. You know, I think maybe it has something to do with people on the left generally being a little bit more emotional or maybe compassionate or sympathetic, and artists typically function purely off of emotion as by means of their craft. So maybe that's why, you know. Hopefully that answers that question. Yo, could you check out Debris of Titan, Astron, The Fallen Record? I'll check that out. I'll save that. Do a Buckethead worst to best? No. That is just too long. That's too much. No. I'm going to take the last couple and try to catch up with a few that I may have missed. I understand if you CBF, but there was an article on Junkie recently I'd love to know your opinion on about ironic toxic masculinity. I've not, you know, I guess I would need to look it up. Yeah, I haven't read the article, so I haven't, let me see. But I don't know much about ironic toxic masculinity. Let me see. Okay. Alex Cameron, Karen J. Callanan, and the problem with ironic toxic masculinity. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll try that out and sort of give it a listen and sort of see what's up with that. I guess, I don't know, maybe, I mean, maybe I'll ironically read this article. I don't know. All right. Good question though. Can I explain the thoughts on the new Whack Rats yeah, it's terrible and it's trash. I think it's really bad. It's like a cringy Rage Against the Machine. Obviously, you're one for respecting differing opinions, as am I, but when someone tells me how much they love Little Dicky, I die a little inside, though. Thoughts? I think that's a perfectly respectable way to react to that sort of thing, you know, just as long as you kind of keep it to yourself, that's all. You know, don't attack people for the things that they like. Just, you know, just die a little on the inside, I guess. Okay, let me see if there are any others that I missed over here because chat wouldn't let me post links. Obviously, well, hold on. Let me try to go up. I'm sorry if I'm missing a ton of super chats here, and I apologize. But again, these are all. Why no deathcore on your channel? Because I don't know. I feel like not that much interesting deathcore comes out. Thoughts on the new Sci-Hi the Prince track featuring Kanye West? I will be talking about that in the new Best Worst Tracks video. What are some... did you listen to Mamura yet? A little bit, but I cannot speak at length right now. Modest Mouse Worst to Best? That would be kind of lengthy. Let me see. My ex was recently assaulted and it absolutely destroyed me when she would break down from her PSD caused by it. Thanks for doing this, Melon. No problem. Again, all of these super chats did go to, RAINN.org. Yeah, I mean, another deathcore questioner. This might have been from the same person. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of new deathcore out that I find to be that interesting or, worth really kind of talking about in depth, to be completely honest. Weirdest fan interaction. Somebody tried to give me a water bottle once that they put in their mouth, and somebody warned me, which was kind of weird, which was like really weird. Can you shout out my boy Ryan the Milkman Busey? I think I've done that. I've done it just now. Shout out to Ryan the Milkman Busey. Hopefully that's not anything that's terrible or is going to get me in trouble. What in your mind makes a cover of a song great? I don't know. Coming up with your own take on it. There's an excellent vocal cover of the song Chandelier by Sia by this dude who calls himself the Puddles Pity Party. Puddles Pity Party. He's like excellent. What is your relationship with dubstep and drum and bass? I would say I'm pretty balls deep on a lot of 90s drum and bass, but I don't really have that deep of a relationship with dubstep, though there is some dubstep that I like. How we missed a new Thanty Faxath machine back in July. Did that come out in July? I just downloaded a promo for like some Thanty Faxath music just the other day. I thought it was like new. It came out in July. Let me see. Do I think Saturation 3 has the potential to be as good as 1 and 2? Yes. Having reviewed several Mike Patton-fronted projects in the past, would I ever consider doing a classic review of Mr. Bungle's albums? Possibly. Hey, Anthony, I wrote a 5-page college essay about TND. That's pretty awesome. Thank you. I'm trying to see if I missed any others. That one dude who was like, hey, go back and check out my super chat. You missed it. I'm like, so sorry. I can't friggin' find it. Maybe if you, oh wait, hold on. Is this it? Oh, here it is. Hey, Anthony, I got to ask, what was your inspiration for Cal Chuchesto? He seems a bit too on the nose for a general stereotype. He's kind of a mix of things. Not that Cal is inspired by anything. He is a person. He is an individual person. He's not, like just a character or something, if that's what you're getting at. But, Cal Chuchesto, it's just kind of like a bit of a silly, Wisconsin, Minnesotan sort of accent, which, might have been said in jest over and over in like some early episodes of MST3K. And, he's just kind of like a weird, squinty-eyed guy who has a mustache and doesn't know much about much. And he's just kind of like a silly, dim-witted, lovable goof. And, he's kind of like the Stimpy to my Ren and the Patrick to my SpongeBob. And he's just kind of the lovable dummy. And that's just what he is. He's just my lovable man of mine. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for the live stream. I appreciate you. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. Let me slide this over so that we can see the chat a little bit. Love you, love you, love you. Young Gravy isn't awful. I don't think he's awful. I just think he's kind of a weak meme. I don't think he's a very good meme. He's listenable, but it's not a very good meme. Cal is omnipresent. I agree. That is the case. Compliment Cockatoo Twins. Cockatoo twins are very smart. Hold up, read mine. I think I just did. I just read it. Thank you for all that you do. No, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for tweeting at me. Thank you for enjoying my content. Thank you for donating during charity streams. Thank you for being passionate people. Thank you for being cute. Thank you for being lovable. Arcade Fire best. 9/11 did Bush. That's probably true. The new David Firth record is all right. It's okay. I may talk about it in the Volume No review. Skra, pop pop pop. Skra. Pink Flag is pink. Did someone say Pink Flag is art punk trash? That is so not true. That is so not true. It is so not trash. That is so mean. I have heard U.S. Maple. Yes. Best Agalock. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head. I need to think about that one. Melon. Okay. Your opinion on Fash Wave? It kind of sucks. Like, honestly, like it's pretty fucking boring. To be honest, I was talking with Austin once about doing a video about it, where I just kind of laugh at like how boring most Fash Wave is. But I feel like the window of relevancy on that kind of disappeared because I was just like, I don't know. I just didn't care. Oh, Converge tomorrow. Yes, that's right. The new Converge is coming out tomorrow. All right, guys. I'm going to leave you guys now. Thank you very much for participating in this fantastic stream. Appreciate it again. And, check our social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook in a few days, because when we do the donation to RAINN after I know how much we've gathered in this live stream, we will put that up there. And, you'll see that there. And we should do another live stream. Every other Thursday we pretty much do them. So not this next Thursday, but the following Thursday. So another live stream the following Thursday from this one. And hopefully I will not have a splitting headache there. Although for the most part, my headache has kind of dissipated, although I am very tired. So I got to get to bed and get to working and rather get to recording my 21 Savage Offset Metro Boomin collaborative review. What's this dude say? To what degree do you think Man's Not Hot is playing a character? I think he's kind of playing a character. I think maybe initially he wasn't entirely planning on playing a character, but like now that it's out there and now that it's become a huge meme, he's definitely Big Shaq is definitely playing it up. I feel like he's kind of embraced the meme in a big way. Maybe in a way that once the meme is dead, he might not be able to recover. But it's he's definitely like playing it up. He's definitely playing it up. He's doing a little bit of a, it seems almost like he's doing kind of like a bit of a comedic Ali G kind of thing in a way. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you guys very much. You're the best. I'll see you guys in the next one. I got to go, guys. All right. Bye. Oh, he's a comedian? He literally is a character, though? Okay, well, that's good to know. Thank you very much for informing me on that. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if this whole comedy bit ends up like turning people onto the whole grime thing. Love you. Hope you like the album, dude. Oh, me too. Give an opinion on 21 Pilots. Be brutally honest. I've already reviewed them, so I mean, I've pretty much given a brutal, honest opinion of them. But they're fine. I don't really care for their music. I think it's just like a little out of my age range. But there are worse things to listen to if you're a teen or tween looking for some kind of way to, find some sort of, emotional outlet with music out there, the current musical landscape. You could do a lot worse. All right. I love you guys. Talk to you soon. See you in the next video. Forever.